here is what I've put together. I put together the 4 favorites, like a stats page for the 4 favorites right now at the PGA Championship as it stands right now. The first is Scottie Scheffler. Go ahead and bring that in, Andrew. We'll read through it. I've got the odds. These are the statistics that I thought fit and made sense, Matt.
By the way, Dom, Andrew told me
weather.
that the 9-2 instead of 4.5-1 has its roots in horse racing. Someone wrote in that day.
Fantastic. That's wonderful
There
news.
you go.
So driving distance, I have as a statistic that I think is incredibly important, considering I don't know if the balls are going to plug, but they're not going to roll anywhere. So how far you can carry and get the ball going is going to matter a lot. Scrambling, I think, is going to matter a lot. Greens and regulation, a lot. And then our friends at Data Golf, they have a true strokes gained number, which is a little bit more accurate than the PGA Tour's strokes gained number, which we've used on this program before. And I looked at their off the tee number, their approach number, and their putting number. And then that last category, last 20 rounds, that's the Data Golf's trend table. Essentially, it's how hot is this player globally in comparison to everybody else, including the LIV Tour and all the other tours, et cetera, et cetera. And then obviously their form for 2025. How many wins do they have?
All right, so
if you want to, you can read
just
through that
just
stuff,
for
Matt,
our
and
people that are with us that are listening on the audio side, the radio side, Scottie Scheffler is 9-2, or if you please, 4.5-1. Driving distance, 302 yards. That's 80th on the PGA Tour. Scrambling, he is first on the PGA Tour at 71%. All right? Critically important stat. Greens in regulation, he's 71%. That's 7th on the PGA Tour. It's very important. Dom, while I'm reading this, I'm going to ask you to go in and get me another stat. Get me a stat for all of these players in terms of where they rank on shots to the green from outside of 200 or more yards. All right, 200 or more yards. All right, strokes gained approach, or true strokes gained approach, as Don was talking about. Scottie Scheffler is plus 1.33. True strokes gained off the tee, he's also positive, about 3/4 of a stroke, plus 0.76. True strokes gained putting, we're talking about Scottie Scheffler here for a second, folks, that is plus 0.62. I bet that would surprise many. Okay, trend table. Last 20 rounds, true strokes gained, plus 3.34. That trend table is compared to any other tour. That puts Scottie Scheffler at plus 3.34 as number 1 globally by comparison. It's a really, really important stat. And you guys already know my personal feeling is that it is critically important in what your form is coming into a major championship. The other stat, and he also lists wins this year, Byron Nelson in May for Scottie Scheffler recently. The other thing that I think is important is total driving, because total driving takes into account accuracy as well as distance, and I think that's going to be big this week. Don, were you able to find a stat for Scottie Scheffler with approach shots to the green from outside of 200 yards in his ranking?
Yeah, he's 9th on the PGA Tour in that category at 47 feet proximity.
Wow, 9th on the PGA Tour. Okay, that is huge. All right, let's go to next on the odds. Rory McIlroy is 5-1. Yeah. His driving distance is 319 yards. He's 3rd on the PGA Tour. So, Dom, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Grab for Rory McIlroy his approach to green from outside of 200 yards and where he stands. I would like to know his total driving as well. But again, to reiterate, total driving is not only distance, but it's also accuracy. Scrambling, Rory is 69%. That is 6th on the PGA Tour. So the first one, he's 3rd in distance. He's 6th in scrambling. Greens in regulation, he's 37th on the PGA Tour. That's 69%. True strokes gain approach, 0.78. True strokes gain off the tee, 1.07. True strokes gain putting, he's plus 0.59. Interestingly, would it surprise you when I tell you that Scottie Scheffler, who we've seen struggle with his putting so far this year, struggle from the standpoint of the ball not dropping, his stroke actually looked good. but he was burning a lot of edges. His true strokes gained putting is actually better than Rory's, but Rory's nonetheless is still positive. Almost 0.6 of a point. Last 20 rounds, probably the most important stat on this that you can see in this graphic that I'm reading to you guys again for those of you that are listening on the audio side, radio side. True strokes gained plus 2.81. That is extremely good. Good enough that as a global comparison, remember this crosses across every tour. He's second. And he has 3 wins so far this year at Pebble, at the Players, and at the Masters. Very, very impressive. Okay, Dom, let me bump it back to you again. Did you have a chance to find his ranking outside of 200 yards for Rory McIlroy?
I did, yes. Rory, outside of 200 yards, his proximity is 48 feet. He's 25th.
Still
on the
very,
PGA
very
Tour.
good. The reason I'm asking that question is that, to Dom's point, that very, very wet fairways don't give. You don't get a lot of bounce. You don't get a lot of roll. So it tends to be what your carry is. There are 5 par 4s that average in the vicinity of 500 yards. 2 of them are less than that. 3 of them are that or more. So in the vicinity of 500 yards. 5 of the par 4s. That's before we can get into talking about the par 5s. So this is a golf course that's going to play long. It can play in excess of 7,600 yards. We'll see exactly how they set the whole thing up, but that's what it's capable of. Last time the PGA Championship was there, as compared to when the PGA Tour plays there every year, the field was over 2 strokes over par. And normally when the PGA Tour is there, they're less than 1. It's about 3/4 of a stroke. So it's almost a stroke and a half harder when the PGA Championship was there in 2017. That's just a major championship setup. That's why we're asking these questions and doing this kind of analysis. There's going to be players coming into greens with a lot of long irons and in some cases hybrid or more. And I'm talking about some par 4s now with this consideration. Okay, total driving for Rory McIlroy. Did you get a chance to look at that one?
Yeah, total driving for Scottie Scheffler is 11th on tour. Rory is 82nd.
Interesting.
On the PGA Tour.
Interesting. That's a little crack in the ice right there between the two. Okay, let's keep on going down this line. Let's talk about Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson DeChambeau is picking up strokes off the tee with his strokes gained. He's about 30 yards past the average, too, on that. Okay, so Bryson DeChambeau, again, I'm going to read the graphic that's on your television screen for those of you that are with us on the radio or audio side. His odds are 12-1. Current odds, that's as of this morning. Driving distance average is 333. That's first on the LIV Tour. His scrambling is 66%. That's first on the LIV Tour. His greens and regulation, 71%. That's fifth on LIV. That is a formidable combination. You're the longest, and you're fifth in GIR. And then when you don't hit the green, you're scrambling, you're first. True strokes gain approach. Just under. He is negative 0.18. Okay? Significant. True strokes gain off the tee, that's what I was telling you. He's just under 2 strokes. Positive, obviously. A true strokes gain putting, he is positive plus 0.24. Now, of the 3 that I've mentioned to you so far, that's the least. Scottie was about 60-70% of a stroke to the positive. Rory was about just over half. And Bryson is at just about a quarter. Okay, last 20 rounds, though. This shows us form, not averages. True strokes gained, plus 2.73. Can you believe he is third globally? So the odds makers have Rory as Scottie as number 1. And in terms of his current form for the last 20 rounds, he's number 1. They have Rory at number 2. And in terms of his form for the last 20 rounds, he's second in the world. They have Bryson at number 3. And in terms of where he stands his last 20 rounds, he's third globally. Can you believe that, the way these guys nail this stuff down? And Bryson's coming off a recent win on the LIV Tour, too, in Korea in the month of May. So very interesting stats there. Okay, let's talk about Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas's odds are 18-1. His driving distance is 305 yards. That's 51st on the PGA Tour. Scrambling, he's 60%. That's 103rd on the PGA Tour. Scrambling is going to be critical this week because they're going to be hitting in from a long way oftentimes. They're going to be able to dry out the greens. They won't be able to do it on the surface level, but they're going to be able to get some bounce into them. So he's 103rd on the PGA Tour. That hurts JT. Greens in regulation, he's 68%. That's 44th on the PGA Tour. That stat combo right there, those three lines that I just said to you, are okay. They're okay. But again, they're based on a season average. When we get to the point of where he stands in terms of current form, the trend, that I think is going to be even more important. But we'll get to that in just a moment. True strokes gain approach, he's positive, almost one. It's plus 0.98. True strokes gained off the tee, he is plus 0.09. So he's virtually level with the field. That's not great. That's not great. And I'm going to ask Dom the same question about total driving and his ranking of approach shots outside of 200 yards. His true strokes gained putting, he's positive 0.55. It's anything positive in that is okay. Because for these great ball strikers, if they are great in that given week, they only need to be average with putting. Because that's how good they are with the stick. But his greens in regulation, 44%, would need to improve this week. His scrambling has to be better. His 2025 wins, he won the RBC Heritage in April. Here we go. Last 20 rounds, which is, again, I'm conceding this, to me, is the most important stat right now. True strokes gained, plus 2.47. Justin Thomas is fourth globally. Fourth. Amazing. Just amazing. All right, Dom, so what do you got in terms of where JT stands with those two other stat areas, if you would?
So he is 62nd in total driving, and he is 51st on tour from the approaches outside 200 yards with a proximity of 50 feet. I just wanted to add some context to that particular stat. Scottie was ninth. Rory, obviously we don't have that number for Bryson DeChambeau because he doesn't play on the PGA Tour, so he's not statistically available. But Scottie's ninth, Rory's 25th, JT's 51st on the PGA Tour in proximity outside 200 yards. But the difference in proximity is 3 feet, which my hands can almost fit that on this screen. So contextually, these guys are so good that top 10 on tour and top 50 on tour is 2.5 feet.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing. From that distance, that's really not a lot. So I'm not disputing that 51st is not as good as 9th. I'm just saying that it's not like Justin is missing greens from that distance by 20 feet further than Scottie is.
Well, there's another way to take a look at all this, because I keep on reiterating the fact that the numbers we're giving you are based upon a season's performance. And what we've seen with Justin Thomas is that he may not be as consistent, or if you please, consistently great as the players just in front of him, but he has been great this season. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And this is just this season. I'm going to give you all of his finishes. At the Century.
Andrew, put Justin's stuff back up there. The stats for Justin.
At the Century, JT was tied for 26. At the American Express, second. He leads the PGA Tour this year in second place finishes. AT&T Pebble Beach, tied for 48th. See what I mean? That's where his averages, all of a sudden, something just wasn't clicking. Not that tie for 48th on a regular week is all that bad, but compared it to 26th and second, it is. WM Phoenix Open, tied for 6th. Genesis Invitational, tied for 9th. Great. Arnold Palmer Invitational, tied for 36th. Players Championship, tied for 33rd. Right now, the Players' Championship rounds will be in as part of his current trend, remember, because it's 20 rounds. So if I'm just curious, if we took that out, how much would it improve his performance of the following? Valspar Championship, 2nd. Masters Tournament, tied for 36. RBC Heritage, 1. Truist Championship, 2nd. You see what I'm saying? So it's just interesting to take a look at
Can Andrew, can you put Rory back up? I have a question for you,
Yeah.
Matt. So if you're looking at Rory's stats here, one thing that is not on that stats page, if you're watching on television, is I don't have his finishes at Quail Hollow. Because he's won there 4 times in multiple different situations. I'm just wondering, for a player at his level who's on form the way he is on form, 2nd globally, 3 wins this year, including the Masters and the Players, how much stock do you put in the fact that Rory McIlroy, again, the players use this phrase a lot, Quail Hollow clearly fits his eye.
Oh, yeah.
How much does that play a role in how high you put him? I think he can win because of X, Y, and Z. Where does that fall in matter?
Well, in terms of giving the context, as you phrased it, to this discussion, he's won 4 times at Quail Hollow, as noted. He won in 2010. I was actually doing radio at that event. I remember asking the producer, I said, hey, do you mind if I hang here and just watch this finish? And I crouched down underneath at the time that the green cameras from CBS were those huge studio cameras that somehow they carted out there. So I was sitting underneath that huge camera, kind of hiding away and watching him make that massive putt to take down Phil Mickelson. He won again in 2015. So
incidentally, Matt, that was his first win ever.
I think he shot a 62, if memory serves me, in that final round.
He did.
So in 2010 and 2015, his first 2 wins, I almost don't think as a modern player, even if you were talking about saying, hey, he's won there twice. Well, 2010 and 2015 were a lifetime ago. And they were also the bookend years of his major championship run until this past April. However, he won again in 2021. He won again in 2024. In fact, in 2024, he took down Xander Schauffele by 5 shots. So to Dom's point, you do have a player here that's very comfortable with, again, now you're going to start to talk about setup as compared to a major and a PGA Tour event. Major championships are going to have thicker, denser, longer rough. Generally, they might give him a haircut at the beginning of the week, and that tends to be it. Right? That's step one. At major championships, what is the phrase that the PGA of America likes to use? If I'm not mistaken, I think they say championship speed. They never really tell you what the speed is of the greens, but they tend to be a tick or 2 faster than at a PGA Tour event. So you're talking about deeper, thicker, harsher, more gnarly rough. Could be tighter as well in terms of where the primary rough kicks in. Green speeds that are ticked up a little bit. And then there is, as you can see, if you're with us on the TV side, you're looking at a picture of the 18th green and that stream that runs down the middle of the fairway. Pick your side, right being the safer side on it. But there's trouble around these greens. The way that Tom Fazio designed them, the way that a lot of them have that kind of, call it a North Carolina design, even if it was inspired by Donald Ross at Pinehurst, there's this drop-off. These aren't cupped as much as those, bottom of a saucer. But they do have that trouble that you can roll off into. That trouble tends to be a little bit hairier for major championships. I would normally tell you that for a major championship, they're not going to give the grass as much water. The ground's going to get harder, faster, bounce more, but Mother Nature has other plans for that right now. Dom, is it raining right now where you are in Raleigh? You're what, 2 hours away? in your studio?
Yes, it's on and off
Okay.
right now. But yeah, I mean, it's very cloudy and gray, and it's going to be raining all day. I think right now, this second, it's not raining, but it was raining an hour ago.
Okay.
And it'll probably rain an hour from now.
So to sum this up for me, to Dom's question, when you have a player, I think he may have even used the phrase, does it kind of suit his eye? When you have a player that's playing at a golf course that they've had great success at multiple times over different chapters of their career, and the most recent event that was played there with world-class, world-caliber players, that even if the course is set up different, playing differently, etc., the initial sight lines, start lines for these players tend to be about the same. It's going to adjust based upon winds, etc., but you know what you're looking for. You know where you want to start it. That's the thing where it suits the eye. Versus if you have a player at a place like, say, Stadium Course, where the Players is held, which Rory's the defending champion of that. That's a much harder course by accounts for players to get comfortable with in terms of their start lines because of the way that Pete Dye plays with your head. Right? Where he deceives you into believing the line that you need to take is a safe line that may get you in more trouble or give you a harder second shot. Where and when he gives you the safer line, it definitively is a more challenging second shot. So Quail Hollow has plenty of challenges to it, but what we're talking about here is a player that has comfort with their sight lines, where they want to go, where they want to hit the respective shots, and that is very, very powerful. He's not the only one that's going to have that. We haven't talked too much about Xander, but Xander's played extremely well at this event. As mentioned, he was the one who finished second to Rory McIlroy. Rory won definitively, but nonetheless, the guy that was next in line was Xander. And it's not Xander's first high finish at Quail Hollow. Obviously, when you're talking about Justin Thomas, he's won a major championship, this PGA Championship, at Quail Hollow. Will it be set up the exact same? We don't know because of the weather and the impact and all the rest, but that's an interesting speculation that will answer its own question.